Hi, my name is Dan Casetta, and this video is a part of Vector's Leadership Academy series. Today's topic is how to establish a solid working connection with the reps on your team through regular coaching calls. In any business, the connection between managers and subordinates is one of the most important keys to team culture, morale, and retention. In our business, PDI is one of the most important keys to building and maintaining a strong working connection. It's one of the main roles for district managers, branch managers, and assistant managers. I've seen many acronyms for PDI. Pretty darn important is one of the funnier ones. In general, PDI represents the personal daily interaction that managers should be having with each of their active reps. When I was a new manager, the president of Vector West was Don Muehlrath. He had several key management principles that he repeated often. One of them was that a successful office needed to have a PDI program that enabled the manager to have the necessary influence on their reps. A PDI program that enabled the manager to have the necessary influence on their reps. This begs the question, what does it mean to have the necessary influence? Well, here are a few things that I think are a part of that. First is to know exactly what's happening with each person, when they are working, how they are doing, what results they've produced. It's very important to be up to date on exactly what's happening with each person throughout the week. Managers also have to know how each rep is feeling. Are they positive, encouraged, and committed to the job? Or could they be teetering on the edge of quitting? It's very important to be able to anticipate before someone might quit so that we can impact them positively. The third part of having the necessary influence is to keep reps positive and focused forward. If a rep does have an experience that causes her to question herself in the business, the manager needs to be able to reframe that experience, alter the rep's perception, and get them focused on what's next for them. When I was relatively new in the business, I had an appointment with a lady in a really nice part of town. And I was on that appointment and I got 37 leads in this great area. And I was super excited to call these 37 leads. And I don't remember my exact statistics, but I totally botched it up. I probably got about 3 appointments and had a bunch of people who said no, and a lot of others that I never got a hold of. Well, I felt discouraged from that experience, and I called up my manager and said, I feel discouraged. I don't know if I can do this. And my manager was really good at reframing that experience for me. He asked me, hey, well, what happened? Tell me more. And I said, yeah, I called some of my leads. I only got 3 appointments. And he said, wait, you called people you didn't know? I was like, yeah. And he said, I haven't even taught you how to call referrals yet. You got 3 appointments calling people you didn't know, and I haven't even taught you how to do it yet? He's like, dude, you're the man. And I was thinking, whoa, am I the man? Am I the man? Really? Could I be the man? And I realized that I felt a lot better about that experience after my manager put a different perspective on it for me. So that's also part of our key objectives in PDI, helping keep people positive and focused forward. Now finally, through PDI, managers should be creating activity, getting people on the phone, holding them accountable to their planned schedule, driving the number of demos being done on their team. So knowing what's happening, knowing how people are feeling, keeping reps positive and focused forward, and creating activity are the 4 major facets of having a good working connection. Doing all of this first requires enough contact, but also effective contact. So how much is enough contact for a typical rep in the summer? Probably every day. But in the fall and spring, that might not be necessary for most people. Here are some things that I think are important in the fall and spring. First, some sort of weekly one-on-one FaceTime. We call this check-in. Also, team meeting promotion, leading to their attendance. Now, I also think Thursday night is really important in the fall and spring, promoting the weekend, promoting a phone jam, getting people on the phone to set up appointments. Now, after that, you want to have enough weekend contact to make sure you're managing them. I would also say that an end-of-the-week checkup is important, where you promote and schedule the check-in with them. You could also add in some sort of appreciation call if you want, just to make people feel good for their contributions to the team. You could also have a round of PDI reviewing reps' paychecks if you want. Those are some ways to have enough contact with reps in the fall and spring. Now let's talk about effective contact. Here are some things that should happen on an effective PDI call. First, knowing the numbers. Also, attitude management, spreading hot news, driving demos, promoting events, and deepening the connection. Now, not all of these things will happen on every call, but these are general objectives that you should have. While you should always find out their numbers, remember to take some time for rapport building, not just business all the time. Remember what's happening in their lives. Keep good records of your conversations so you can ask them about that midterm they were studying for or something else from their personal life. Know their interests so that you can common ground once in a while before talking business. Like, hey, did you see that game last night? If you have a common team that you both like. Then, of course, it's important to know what they have been doing with work. But be sure you also understand what's behind the numbers. Don't assume that the rep is positive just because they sold something, and don't assume that they're negative just because they didn't sell. Probe to see how they're feeling and listen for cues in their tone of voice. There are some simple ways to help a rep manage their attitude when they had poor results. One is to ask positive response questions like, did she like the rope, the leather, and the penny? Or did you have some fun on the appointment? They're normally going to say yes to these questions, and questions like this help them to start changing their focus and make them feel better. Another way to manage a rep's attitude is to ask what I call reframing questions. Here are a few of my favorite reframing questions. What's another way to look at that? That question gets them to look at what happened from a different perspective. What do you think you learned from that situation? That question gets them to focus on lessons that came out of the experience. What are some things you think you could have done to have solved that problem? That question gets them focused on possible solutions rather than dwelling on the problem itself. How do you think you'll handle that the next time you encounter it? That's an especially genius question because it gets them to focus on what they're going to do next. Now, next you want to lead them to create activity. So, hey, what's next for you? How would it feel if you got your next promotion this weekend? If everything went right this weekend, what would that look like? What do you think is the best way to make that happen? Now you can lead them into the next step. You want to lead them into what you want them to do. Whenever you share hot news, promote a few positive things happening in your office. Then always bring it back to them. You want to hear some exciting stuff? Hey, Russ sold a homemaker. Alexis sold an ultimate set. Kevin sold a galley. Mike had a 4 for 3. Angel got 20 leads on her last demo. Ben went 3 for 3 today. There are a lot of good things going on. You know why I'm telling you these things, right? Yeah, because you're next. It's your turn. These people were in your training class. You can do it too. You're always bringing that hot news back to them and encouraging them. Now, when it comes to promoting events on PDI, it's first obviously important for all the people doing PDI to know the office and division schedule. If there's a meeting coming up, and there's always something coming up, know what's on the agenda so you can promote specific things they'll learn and promote people they'll hear from or people they'll meet. Hey, I'm going to introduce you to Kevin Donahue at the next meeting. The division meeting is coming at just the right time for you. I can't wait to see how much progress you make after going to the conference. So you're promoting events, promoting who they're going to meet, what they're going to gain, and why it's beneficial to them. The final objective of PDI is deepening the connection that you have with each rep on your team. One way to do this is to provide specific compliments about them and reasons for their future success that you see. You know, you're a rep who asks all the right questions and you seem detail-oriented. People like you figure it out and they really succeed at a high level here. I can't wait to help you do that. That's a way of providing a sincere compliment and helping them feel good about what's next for them. Also, as I said earlier, learn more about them personally when the chance arises. You don't have time for every PDI call to include a lengthy personal conversation, but sometimes you do have that time, so use it. Here are a few last keys to effective PDI. The first is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is one of the most important of these last keys. Energy and passion travel through the phone, so when you can tell people need a pick-me-up, be there to bring people what they need. Always be upbeat on PDI and transfer your enthusiasm to your people. It's also very important to maintain professionalism. The kind of relationship you want to foster with your rep is that of the wise aunt or uncle, not the cool buddy. A cool buddy is fun to go to a party with, but the wise person in their life is the person that's going to lead them into the success they want, and that's who you want to be. Last, be strong as a leader. Not a bully, but don't let people run over you. Our job as leaders is to lead, not mirror our people. So when someone is giving you excuses and needs a kick in the butt, be there to provide that for them. If you're not having at least one uncomfortable conversation per day with someone on your team, then you're probably not truly having the necessary influence on your team. Now, the key to this is sincere care. When they can tell that you truly care about them, then your critique will come across as attempting to help them, not tearing them down. Vector's founding principle is to be successful, we must first help others to succeed. So help others. Provide training, provide guidance, provide inspiration. This also means telling people what they need to hear sometimes. And after you do that, lifting them up and showing your belief and confidence that they can move things in a positive direction. Maintaining the right working connection is an ongoing process. You must maintain the momentum with every single person, week by week, day by day, throughout each week. If you work to establish a strong working connection, you will have a major influence and impact on the people you work with. You can become the difference maker for all the people who are on your team and for our entire organization.